In this episode of Mind Pump, we answer fitness questions, and in the intro, we have fun. We talk about current events, our lives. We mentioned one of our sponsors. Here's what we talked about in this episode of Mind Pump. We started by talking about the 3-string guitar. I can't remember the name of it.
It's the Lug.
There it is. Justin got one for his boy so his son can rock out.
Yeah.
Then we talked about, I talked about a study on preterm babies and music. This study shows that having your baby listen to music matures their brain a little bit faster. It's kind of interesting. Adam brought up the Down Under donation dildo. I guess somebody's put together a fake penis.
However, help is provided.
To raise money for the fires over there. I talked about the connection between the cannabinoid 2-AG, that's a natural cannabinoid, and stress. And that got us talking all about cannabinoids like CBD and others. I talked about how a follower solved her sleep paralysis issues by using full spectrum hemp oil from Ned. And then Adam talked about how it relieves anxiety for his dogs. He puts a little bit of the Ned full spectrum hemp oil in their dog food, and the dogs seem to settle down a little bit. Now, Ned is a company that we work with. They make a hemp oil that's high in CBD, but also contains all the other functional cannabinoids, including the terpenes. Now, remember, studies show the ones that show the best benefits from CBD are the ones that show CBD being in the presence of other cannabinoids. Ned does this, and we have a discount for you. Go to helloned.com/mindpump, and you'll get 15% off your first purchase. Then I talked about fat tongue. Apparently, that's the reason why obese people have, or more likely to have
fat tongue.
Sleep apnea. I talked about an article that said that watching a movie is as good as light exercise. If you think that's baloney, it's because it is. Adam brought up an article talking about how Tesla, there's a program on there, I guess it can make the car fart, which is kind of interesting.
I think they're bored.
We talked about the new Nike digital shoes. You can change the way they look with an app, which is kind of interesting. And then I brought up a segment on one of these books that I'm reading right now that talks about solvable versus perpetual problems. Interesting part of the episode. Then we got into answering questions. The first question, this person wants to know, do you travel with supplements or do you just take that time off? So we talk all about supplements, their value, what they're good for, what they're not good for. And we talked about one supplement that we travel with almost all the time, which is Organifi's green juice. It's very difficult to get vegetables when you travel. Sometimes that can throw your digestion off, and oftentimes you feel it in your energy and your vitality. Well, Organifi makes a green juice that's easy to travel with. You just mix it in water, drink it, and you get a dose of healthy vegetables and greens. Now, Organifi is one of our sponsors. If you go to Organifi.com/mindpump and use the code mindpump, you'll get 20% off their green juice and all of their other products. The next question, this person wants to know what we think about the ketogenic diet for building muscle. So you may have heard of the ketogenic diet, low carb, high fat diet.
Get jacked on fat.
There are some benefits, but does it benefit building muscle? The next question, this person wants to know, what do you do if you're plateauing in a specific body part? So let's say the whole body is responding, but there's one area that is not. What can I do? So we answer that. And then the final question, this person wants to know if we recommend using body measurements. So measuring your waist, your shoulders, your arms, your legs, is that a good way to measure your progress? Also, this month, MAPS HIT is 50% off. This is our high-intensity interval training program. Now, HIT is one of the best ways to burn body fat in the shortest period of time. These are short, intense workouts designed to burn the most body fat. It's a short program. It's only 6 weeks long, so you get in, you get out, get the body to burn body fat, get leaner. The program includes exercises, blueprints, everything you need to do a successful HIT workout for 6 weeks. Now, here's how you get the 50% off discount. Go to mapshit.com. That's MAPSHIIT.com and use the code HIT50, HIIT50, no space for the discount.
And it's t-shirt time.
Oh, shit, Doug. You know it's my favorite time of the week.
We have 2 winners for iTunes, 2 winners for Facebook. The iTunes winners are Rocky Willis 27 and Saxaw. And for Facebook, we have John Michael and Dallas Deadman. All of you are winners. Send the name I just read to iTunes at mindpumpmedia.com. Include your shirt size, your shipping address, and we'll get that shirt right out to you.
What are you guys doing this weekend? Are either one of you guys going to go stop and see Shabby at all or no?
No.
I wish.
No.
My youngest birthday this weekend. So
it is.
Oh, right.
Yeah, we're taking him. There's this new place that opened up kind of near Costco where we're at. It's got climbing walls. It's got like a parkour thing, but it's all under black lights. So it's kind of an interesting concept. I don't know. Like I've never seen anything like that.
Sounds safe.
Yeah,
totally. It's risky.
Just make sure you bring a clean shirt. Don't grab the wrong one.
Can you imagine showing up? You just got splotches, all on your back, especially like your lower back.
Guys,
splotches.
Guy's walking in with his wife, and she's got a few of them on her neck.
Oh my god,
that's
like, hey Karen, you had a big weekend, huh?
Did you?
God,
Mom, did you put lipstick on with a highlighter? What is that? Anyway,
yeah.
So that's fun.
Did you get him the guitar setup?
Yes.
Oh, you did?
You remember that? Yeah,
I do remember that.
What is this?
Oh, so I got my oldest one of those Lug guitars, which is like a 3-string guitar. It's like kind of sets you up to learn the basics of chord structure and whatnot.
Has that been around forever, or is that a new thing?
No,
I never knew that.
This is like a new cool startup company, and I actually read about them. I think it was like one of those like Fast Company or one of those kind of like entrepreneur magazine type things. And so I found it, and I was like, oh wow, cool, because it's simple. Because the thing is, like before that, I had them kind of messing around with the ukulele because it's like 4 strings, and so this was 3, but it also you tune it just like a guitar, and then it has an app that coincides with it, so it makes it fun, engaging, more like kid friendly.
And so this is a guitar that was invented to kind of help people learn the guitar. So it's like training wheels.
Literally, yeah.
Wow.
It's a lot like when we saw those Strider bikes, that don't have any pedals. It's kind of the same concept with a guitar.
What's it called?
Loog, Loog.
Oh, dude, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I actually wanted to reach out to them because it's a great concept. I think that any parent that has a kid that they want to get them into music, I think this is a cool, like a fun, engaging. Because I mean, kids, dude, they want something that's almost like a game, or they want something that's on your phone. So it kind of incorporates all that stuff.
Oh, that's cool. Speaking of music, I had this article that I wanted to share with you. It's the one I was asking you about, Adam, when I was asking you how many weeks.
When Max was born?
Yes. So they did this. There was a study that showed that
he was he's a whole month on the dot.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So they were showing that preterm babies, because when they do now, here's the thing with these statistics. There's stuff that needs to be teased out, but what they find with preterm babies is that they're higher risk later on for attention deficit disorder and certain other things, right? So saying, okay, does it have to do with brain development early on? And through this study, they found that having preterm babies listen to music, both to go to sleep, to relax, to wake up, they used music that was made from like flutes and acoustic instruments. They found that helps increase maturation of brain regions in the brain that preterm babies tend to not have as developed. So by having them listen to music when they're right afterwards, it accelerates their brain development.
Oh, good.
How awesome is that?
That is awesome.
And you guys play music for
all the time?
That's so great.
All the time.
That's so great.
Yeah, it's kind of like when he comes. So first thing in the morning, like this Katrina does this. Like I get woken up and like, here's your kid. That's how she wakes me up in the morning time. Yeah. Because we're in the separate rooms, right? And she'll come walking. That's for her to go take a shower. So she normally wakes me up about a half hour before I would normally get up, and sets him on. But in the morning time, he's great. Like he's like super playful and fun. So I could be like half awake and like laying next to him and stuff. But like I love to pull,
grabbing your cheeks.
Yes, and my beard. Like now he's get to the point where he can
I'd love to figure that out.
Yeah.
He's looking more and more like you, by the way.
The
pictures you're posting, it's starting to look.
Finally,
like
I'm finally personally having that. Of course, family and friends. It's it's hilarious. Like every time we see everybody from my side of the family. Oh my God, he looks just like you. Everybody from Katrina's side of the family. Oh my God, he looks just like Katrina. It looks nothing like Adam. Like so, you hear that all the time, and I've been like,
thank God.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really see any of it yet. I feel like he's changing a lot right now, especially in the last month or so. And recently, have I had moments where I feel like, oh wow, he looks like me now. Like I personally haven't really felt like that
until right about now. Right about now, I see like his cheeks and eyes all coming in, and there's photos of me, and there's and he looks a lot like my dad, my real dad, when he was a baby. And so I've seen a couple photos of him, and I've got shots of him like looking up at me, and I'm like, oh shit, he looks just like my dad.
Oh
right
yeah,
here.
he's such a cutie.
Yeah, he's starting to.
But in regards to the study, the things about these types of studies you have to be careful with is they'll show like kids preterm are higher risk for ADD or whatever. But it's hard to tease out because I think a greater percentage of preterm kids are born in kind of stressful situations. Whereas you guys had a very healthy, everything was very healthy or whatever. But I thought the music thing was pretty interesting because we've been speculating for a long time that playing music for babies helps the parts of the brain that process music, which is a lot of the brain, develop faster.
That's always been a tale, everybody's said, but like you kind of like, whatever. Like, but playing classical music during those developmental, years or the beginning stages of development, it seems to really pay off.
Well, there are other studies that show that when kids learn music, they get better at math.
Yeah,
they get better at doing math.
Well, I've thought about this a lot actually because like the time signatures and the way that like the beats hit you and everything, it's something that is easier to enter your subconscious. So it's like it almost like there's a rhythm and there's something to math.
You're subconsciously counting.
Yeah, exactly.
You're subconsciously counting if you can dance to a beat like you are, whether you think you are or not.
It's like when you're talking about somebody throwing a baseball. It's like all these like calculations, the way that you have to kind of predict where to put your hands and all that stuff to react. Like I think there's a lot there that can be received, and you don't have to really consciously like focus on it.
Was it one of you guys that talked about that a while? That was like a couple of years ago. We brought that up when someone read an article that said how much math the brain is doing just to catch a baseball.
Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Or to throw something and be accurate.
It's insane.
Oh, it's crazy because especially to hit a moving target. Humans. One of the skills that we possess naturally better than any other animal is to throw with accuracy. We're the best at it. I mean, you could take a baby, you could take a child, have them throw at a target, and they'll be more accurate than 99% of the animals that are out there. Then they hit a moving target, and we became good at it, right? We had this overhand throwing position, throwing spears at running animals. But if you do the math, the calculations that are required to know when to throw, how to time it, it kind of happens naturally.
Do you think that's why quarterbacks tend to be one of the smartest guys on the team?
There's something there.
Right.
I honestly
think about that.
Yeah. I mean, you can kind of react, and I don't know because I have met some pretty dumb quarterbacks too. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I mean,
there's exceptions.
Maybe at like the lower level, right? Like in order to get to the highest level, there's probably not really that many quarterbacks.
Don't they also?
They're usually the smartest guy on the team.
Yeah.
Usually.
Don't they also run the plays and stuff though too?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They have to memorize all of that. They have to read defenses and like to your point. So here's the thing that's why I think they're so smart is, you've got to know the play, so you have memorized that. You have to know everybody else's responsibilities if you're the quarterback. So you don't just know what you need to do. I need to know, here's my 4 wide receivers, my fullback. I need to know where they're all going to be. Yes. And then to your point, I've also got to throw this ball at a moving target, and I'm also thinking about the defense and where they're positioned. Like
so many variables,
a lot of math going on.
Yeah, and I think to that point, they have the most homework. So it's like they're the ones like constantly they work the most. Like they're the ones that have to stay later, break down film, analyze it, like relay that on to the receivers, to the linemen, to make sure everybody. But I had a little bit of that on the defensive side, but it's not even near as complex as the quarterback's responsibility.
Well, so my daughter was on a field trip a couple days ago, and they went to NASA. And they had they had a great field trip, by the way. NASA's a great place to take to do a field trip because they actually cater to the kids, and they have this like. This teeter-totter looking thing where one person sits on one end and another person sits on the other end. And then they spin it, not super fast, and then they have the kids try and hit each other with beanbags. So as it's spinning, they're trying to throw it at you. And what they're trying to illustrate is how difficult it is
to
launch a rocket that's on a spinning planet, to land on another spinning planet that's moving in an orbit or whatever.
Yeah.
They were trying to explain. And the math is insane. Yep. It's absolutely insane. And it's crazy when you think about how we were able to do this before modern computers. we were able to do this back in, when we launched and we put a man on the moon. The amount of math required to like calculate exactly how to, how to hit the moon in the right way or whatever, land on it was just insane.
Yeah. What movie is that? That's a good movie. You just reminded me of the movie. It's God, what's that called? Doug, do you know what movie I'm talking about? And it's
astronaut movie.
Yeah, and it's the one about the female, and she was like she was a mathematician.
Oh, yeah.
Not Signs.
No, do you know what I'm talking about?
No, Jodie Foster was
no. Contact.
Yeah, Contact. No?
No.
She's in the gyroscope.
It's way more recent than that. I can't think of.
No, you're talking about the women that were responsible for a lot of the calculations. That had to do it. Yeah, I don't know the name is.
Yeah. There's like 3 black ladies, and they had fought to get involved.
They were part of Houston. Everybody there was a supporting.
And they fought to get involved in it, and they did, and they made some of the greatest impacts on it. I can't think of the name of it.
I never saw that. Yeah.
Now trip off this. The
Hidden Figures.
That's it.
Is that the name of it?
Yeah, pull up the picture of it. I think that's what it was. Hidden Figures. Yes.
I still like Contact though, so whatever.
Contact's a good movie too.
Have you seen this one, Justin?
No,
if you haven't
seen
this. If you haven't seen this movie, it's incredible. That's not the cover of it, is it?
It is that movie.
That's a scene where she's talking.
That's it.
Yeah,
right there.
I definitely want to check that.
Really good movie.
Yeah. Well, and trip off this, the computing power that you have in your phone is more than all the computing power that it took to put a man on the moon.
Well, I think
all of that combined.
Isn't that what really spawned the conspiracy thing that we even landed on the moon? Because it's like the math, the type of technology required for you to get there, it just doesn't seem plausible, because like they had like barely like an Apple IIe that they're looking on the screen and like trying to make these mathematical calculations, to get there.
We had a lot of smart people, when we were so motivated. Yeah, the Cold War was a very interesting time in American history. We had nukes pointed at us and pointed at them that would have destroyed the whole world. So we put a lot of money and effort into the stuff that we thought would make us, beat them or look superior or whatever. Mm-hmm. So this whole, NASA and getting out into space, getting out the satellites, getting out into the moon, a lot of that was also to show the Soviet Union that if we can do this, we could launch a rocket. It was
literally capitalism versus communism. That was like the root of it all.
Yeah. Who won?
Speaking of smart, speaking of smart, did you see the Down Under dildo?
No. What?
I think that's clever as shit.
I appreciate that transition.
Yeah, no, right? It was more and more people. You brought up Sal. I think it was Sal that brought up a couple days ago the girl that was sending the nudes for
donations.
Donations.
She raised like $800,000 now.
Yeah. And these guys, I don't think they're that high. I think they're closer to like $30,000 to $50,000, but still $30,000 to $50,000 in dildos. That's a lot of dildos.
The Down Under dildo.
Yeah.
What does it look like?
It's called a Down Under donation dildo, and it's 100%. The proceeds are all going towards the fires. But I thought that was pretty clever.
Like a giant kangaroo that's ready to.
So it goes down under.
So now that I see some of this stuff popping up, and I'm wondering if we're going to continue to see more and more. I'm really curious, and it doesn't matter because it's going to help. So who cares? But how many people are doing it because it's a smart business move? And how many people are doing it because they're truly trying to help? Look at this thing, right?
Like they're opportunists.
Okay, hold on a second. I got to explain this. There's a koala bear at the base of the dildo. The bottom of it,
like Australia.
Yeah, it's the continent right
is shaped like Australia. I mean, there you go.
Isn't that great?
It says helping has never felt
so good.
So good.
Helping's never felt so good.
Yeah. What a great tagline.
Yeah.
Great marketing.
It's got the bushfire appeal.
Yeah. Bushfire. Man, there's just so much there.
Well, you're right, Adam, because let's say 100% of the proceeds.
Oh, $69,000, right?
$69.
Oh, no. Oh, how much it cost. Yeah, I read an article that said how much they had already donated, and it's up there already.
How big is it? Does it talk
how
about
many more
size?
innuendos can you smash into this
I'm
thing?
asking for a friend. It's you know what? You're right, Adam, because let's say you make a product like this, right?
Yeah.
And you don't, and it's to donate, and all the money, all the profits go to donate. But now you have a bunch of customers, emails and contacts and whatever, and the next product you come out with is something that you make money off of.
Right.
It could be a very smart strategy.
Oh, I think it is.
Just wait for a natural disaster.
Well, I'm impressed at all remember the whole prepper thing in the Aztec calendar and all that. Like, people are still making tons of money off of just like, buying like excess like canned foods and like, first aid kits and all this kind of stuff. Like, that's still a big thing.
Yeah, it is. Do you guys have an earthquake kit? Do you guys have all like stuff saved for that?
I have one. It's basically just a little mini survival kit thing. It's not that robust.
Dude, I had bought a while ago. I had spent I don't know, it was like $300 on this buckets. There was like 2 buckets, and they contain like these super high calorie, high density meals that you didn't need fire or anything to prepare. Mm-hmm. And when I got the buckets, I was like, oh, cool, we got these at Save 'Em. And I looked at the ingredients. Mm-hmm. They're all dairy. I was like, damn it. If something happens,
You're shitting your brains out.
You're alive, but diarrhea.
I might survive, but I'm not going to be very happy. My family won't be
in
either.
a world with no more toilet paper.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. How did you guys survive? I don't know how we survive with this guy's farts over here.
Yikes.
Anyway, I got a message from one of our listeners who used the Ned hemp oil to cure. So this is an anecdote. So I want to preface this by saying I'm not saying that this is a study that shows this works or whatever. This is somebody's actual anecdote. But this woman suffered from sleep paralysis. Do you guys know what that is?
I mean, does it imply what it actually is?
Yeah.
I'm just imagining not being able to move my arms, legs.
Have you guys ever experienced that, by the way? Where you wake up?
Well, I've woken up and my arm fell asleep because I slept on it and I can't move, and it feels like paralysis.
No, that's different.
I've woken up like it's like a half state. Like, so I feel like I'm kind of awake, but I'm not. But then like it feels like somebody's on my chest and I can't move. So I've had that.
Yeah. And it's not just at that party, remember?
Yeah,
anyway,
that was that one little.
No, this is where you
that's the unmentionable.
You wake up and you're half awake. You can hear what's going on around you, but you can't move. And then you get this feeling of immense impending anxiety and doom. It's a very frightening feeling. I used to get it when I was a kid. It's also one of the reasons why I can lucid dream. So I could do lucid dreaming where I knew I'm controlling but part of the reason is because of that. When I was a kid, I'd get that a lot, like halfway asleep.
Powerful, dude.
And I felt like I couldn't move, and it would scare the shit out of me, and I'd cry or whatever. My mom would come, ask me what happened or whatever. Anyway, this woman has it, and it's a shitty thing to suffer from as an adult. She said taking the hemp oil got rid of it.
Wow.
Completely.
Totally. She just goes to sleep. She doesn't get in that halfway kind of limbo.
What is that? Is that a neurological thing? Like, what's happening there?
Well, so I was reading another study on a natural cannabinoid called 2-AG. So it's one of the cannabinoids that we produce naturally, and they've connected it pretty well now to anti-anxiety effects, to lowering anxiety. In fact, they've done animal studies where they've eliminated the animal's ability to produce this particular cannabinoid.
Works on my dogs.
And really?
Yeah, no, it's one of the main uses that how I use Net, aside from myself when I occasionally use it. Anytime that we travel, or if I know I'm having like a bunch of people over at the house and stuff, the bulldogs, and I think it's a breed thing. I think they're already considered like dogs that have a lot of anxiety. They get super anxious. Bentley starts panting like crazy, and like
I've noticed your dog's breathing real hard.
Yeah, they get like overly excited, and one of the best things that I've found for them is doing that.
What do you just put in the dog food?
Yeah, I just do like one full dropper of the hemp oil, and I'll put it in their dog food or on a treat or something like that. Soak it up, and then
now what do you notice? They just calm down.
Yeah, they're just calmer. They don't get it. They don't get as high strung. So I mean, it doesn't sedate them or anything like that. They just seem to be calmer. And again, it's anecdotal, like you said. Like it's hard for me to measure that. Like how much is it affecting? But I mean, I know my boys. For a long time, I didn't have this at my disposal.
Well, that's the number one reason why somebody would use a full spectrum hemp oil with CBD in it is for anxiety. By far, that's the top selling reason why people get that. Do you think your dogs are like that because they're so like empathetic? I notice your dogs are very good at feeling what's happening. You know what I mean? Like they'll come up to you, they want to be touched. They'll notice if you're sad. They'll notice if you're whatever. Well, that's what makes them anxious when there's a lot of people? Sure,
yeah. They're one of those breeds. Like I've had a lot of different breeds growing up, and of all the breeds that I've had, they for sure are the most like connected to humans. Like I just feel like they have human personalities. It's really funny in comparison.
They're like little kids.
And I've had really smart dogs. Like we've had German Shepherds before. We've had Labs, Retrievers, and those are all like smart dogs and loving and compassionate, whatever. But the Bulldogs have like this. They have this real human-like personality that's really interesting to me, and they do, and they get things that they get irritated and piss them off. Like they'll do that, like they act out because of it. When we go,
they remind me of like little George Costanzas. Just, hey. They're cute, but they're like kind of hey.
And then in the same token too, they're the baby comes in. I was concerned and worried, but man, they kind of fall right into suit, and they recognize right away that he's small and he's fragile.
The video you posted of somebody was feeding Maximus something, and he had some food on his like face or whatever, and the dog is like so gentle. He just goes up and kind of licks it off his face a little, super gentle. Like he knows.
Yeah, they know.
He knows we're dealing with the baby.
And the crazy part about that is that they're not gentle dogs. In fact, they're big and clumsy, and they accidentally can hurt you because of how physical they can be. But they do. They're real docile around him, and it's like they know. So it's cool.
How do they respond when he cries?
So it's a trip when he cries, especially if because we do this when he cries at night when we're putting him down. We do like the 10-minute cry method, right? So we let him cry for 10 minutes, and the boys will go upstairs. So Katrina and I will be downstairs. We're watching him on the monitor and kind of watching the time. Like, okay, we'll go up here in a few more minutes. But the dogs will go up and sit at the door.
Oh wow!
Yeah. They'll go up there and sit at the door, like to let us know, like, hey, something's wrong or something's, and they'll just sit there and wait, and then they'll come in the room while you're trying to calm him down, and they'll just be sitting by his crib watching.
That's so great. I don't know how people can argue there's not a hierarchy of animals. There really is. I mean, dogs are on a whole different level.
I told you Courtney's already pulling my leg to try and get another one to try and help calm my dog down because he's just like a Tasmanian devil of energy.
Would you get another same breed?
No. But
that would be a lot to have.
Yeah, but I mean, you do kind of need one that will stay with him in terms of like the energy. Like if we're gonna let them loose and like I want them to play and like wear each other out. Like that's the ideal goal for it. If that was gonna be a thing, and it's like I can, if she can kind of work her sales skills on me and like which it's gonna take a while.
My sister had one, the Weimaraner with wiener dogs, dude, and they were great.
I saw that.
They were a great match.
I love
which actually is what gave Courtney the idea. So thanks, Cassie. I appreciate that.
I love those.
Yeah, but you're better off with a little tiny dog.
You're right.
In that house. Like that's for sure.
No, and to have one that's sort of that's the thing. I'm like maybe having one that's sort of chill will kind of like feed off of that, and then one crazy, one chill, one crazy. Who knows?
Yeah, Jessica and I are so opposite when it comes to dogs. I like small dogs, and she likes massive, huge dogs.
Oh, really?
She loves Akitas.
Yeah, I like big.
She
dogs.
likes Mastiff.
Oh,
Mastiffs.
wow. She likes the big
dogs. Yeah, she likes the big horse dogs, and I'm like, we'll see about that.
Great Danes, dude. Those are awesome.
Yeah. Anyway, I was reading an article on obesity and its connection to what is that sleep disorder when people wake themselves up because they can't breathe? They have to wear sleep apnea. So you guys know how obesity is connected to sleep apnea, and oftentimes you go to the doctor and you say, when they do the sleep test on you, they say, okay, you have sleep apnea.
They pretty much assume you have it if you're obese.
They'll tell you to lose weight. Yeah. And for a while, it's been speculated, like, why is it that being overweight causes sleep apnea? Is it the extra weight on the chest, just the body fat in general around the neck? Like, what is it? They've identified exactly what it is. You guys want to
exactly
Yeah.
An enlarged uvula?
No, fat tongue.
Fat tongue.
Yes.
Oh, see, I was close.
You actually gain body fat. I didn't know this.
No way.
And it blocks the airway.
You gain fat on your tongue, and so they've identified that that's the problem.
Really?
Yes.
I want to see fat people's tongues now.
Yeah, no, I know.
I'm curious.
And it makes me, you know how you have like your disposition to gain body fat in particular areas. Like some people might be.
I would not have considered that.
Yes.
That's weird.
100%.
I would have not considered that either. That's interesting. I didn't you know what? And of course it makes sense when you say that.
So look what it says in this article. Reducing tongue fat via weight loss may be an effective sleep apnea.
So maybe get liposuction on your tongue?
Or start doing those those folding tongue,
Can you do that?
Tricks
Can you
do?
get liposuction on your tongue?
I don't think so.
Why not?
I mean,
I'm
maybe
write an exercise program with
if it
a
gets
cherry.
if it gets fat like anything else, why couldn't you suck some of the fat out?
you might be able to, but I mean, if you imagine doing liposuction on a tongue, especially in the back, because you know how long your tongue is, it's a lot longer than what you think it is. Like that would be a tough recovery. Lipo's violent, bro. You ever watch a video on lipo?
Yeah, no, it's disgusting the way they do it.
It's
They fucking.
they're not gentle.
They don't give a shit.
No.
Yeah.
It is a violent, just creates a lot of damage in the body. I watched this video one. I mean, they open, and they're in there.
This is a recent discovery because I've never heard this.
Yes, dude.
Right? This is pretty recent.
Yes.
Wow.
Isn't that funny?
You know what? I'm really curious to see the things that come out now to help it, right? Like you're probably gonna see like these mouth guards that like pin your tongue down or hold it in a certain position, or there's got to be some stuff like that.
Now they're gonna come out with spot reducing tongue exercises. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, try this exercise. You know, strengthen your tongue.
I remember.
The tongue burrito maneuver.
I wonder what percentage, of your tongue fat goes up when the rest of your body fat goes up. Like, is it a direct connection to, if you increase 10% body fat, at least, 1% higher in your tongue? Like,
you know what I just thought about right now? Have you guys ever heard people, have you ever heard someone talk? You don't even need to look at them and you could tell they're obese.
Yeah.
Because they sound like they have a fat tongue. Biggie was like that.
Yeah.
Listen to Biggie, listen to his songs, and you can hear he has a fat tongue.
Yeah.
It's like you know what I'm talking about?
I was just thinking because it was the huskiness, the big barrel chest.
Maybe. All right, another article for you guys. This one, let's see if this annoyed you as much as it annoyed the shit out of me. So here's the title. Here's the article headline itself. It says that watching a movie at the theater qualifies as light exercise. What? Qualifies as light
writing
exercise.
Because you had to get there from the parking lot?
No, dude. This is the
For
kind
what?
of shit.
Because of the stress that could go up and down, because it makes
So here's what so this is researchers
You're pretending to be the people on the screen.
Yeah, people are watching a movie. So researchers at the University College London came to that conclusion because they studied 50 people. They put biometric sensors on them to track their heart rate, all while watching the movie Aladdin, 2019 remake of Aladdin.
Wow.
For 45 minutes of the movie, the viewers' heart rates rose 40 to 80% higher than their maximum normal resting heart rate. And they said that, hey, that's like equivalent to doing exercise. Yeah. It's not. It's not equivalent to doing exercise. Just because your heart rate went up doesn't mean you're
on our way
out.
to Wally, dude.
What's happening?
For sure. If we're justifying that already, everybody's like, well, wow, if I just watch 8 hours of movies a day, that's like 2 hours of exercise.
Yeah. Or you piss off your
Bunch
wife.
of chase scenes, like I got my cardio in.
Get in an argument with your wife afterwards, like, look, babe, it's at least we worked out. Because we were just pissed off.
Who puts together something like that?
Well, that was at University of College. It was University of London, or hold on, let me
University
see what the name
of College.
Yeah, University College London.
Are we really there now? We're out of things
right.
to study that much that we're doing things like that?
It's
I don't
so
feel
stupid.
that way.
It doesn't. So you can't
They put money into this.
You can't equate the effects of exercise to your heart rate. I mean,
No.
that's part of it, but just because your heart rate went up, I could give someone caffeine, their heart rate goes up or whatever. Are they burning more calories? Tiny bit because of the beating heart, but it's not going to make a difference.
Weird, dude. Such a weird. It's weird. Tesla will be farting soon.
Huh?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Google that, Douglas.
Oh, wow.
Tesla farts.
What? Why?
Yeah, the new Tesla car is going to be able to fart.
From the down under dildo to Tesla farts.
I'm
I
bringing
enjoy
random
this.
ass.
Why
news
would they
today.
program a Tesla to do this?
I have no idea, dude. I have no idea. And I saw too an article on Alexa in the new Lamborghini, but the Tesla farting thing I thought was interesting.
So like the car is going to make a farting noise. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, it's is it a joke?
Yeah. Because, dude, remember they had the thing where it had like a whole choreography where like the doors would go up and it would spin and dance.
Play the music.
And they were all excited about that. And you're like, what are you guys doing?
Hold on.
over there?
Emissions mode changes the Tesla's turn signal tone
to a fart.
They just got time on their hands.
I love this. It's like a Easter egg.
Every time
you go to turn, dude.
Yeah.
I mean,
They're just having fun.
the different speed settings when they first came out with them. You know what the fastest one was, right? Ludicrous speed.
Yeah.
You know that, right?
Yeah, I remember that. That's funny.
Like an
Little
ode to
Spaceballs reference.
Spaceballs.
No, it's clever. It's clever for sure. So on the lines of tech things like this, did you guys hear about the new Nike shoes that will be able to? They'll be digital. I forget. I wish I knew the name of them. I don't remember the article where I read it, but I know these are coming if they're not out already. Where you're going to have an app connected to your sneakers, and you'll be able to change the design of them. It'll be it'll be like an LED screen, and you'll be able to.
It's got LED sort of woven in to the shoe?
Yes.
What?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah, maybe look up Digital Shoes, Doug, or something like that.
What movie was it where people were doing that? It was a sci-fi movie where someone could just
Back to the Future
They
2.
changed the shirt color every time they touch it. Was
those
it Back to
them?
the
Well, it was
Future?
Wall-E too. But
I think so.
Yeah.
What's it called? Nike Adapt.
Yeah, and I think that you can just I think right now they have it to where you'll be able to change like patterns, but I mean, this opens the door for the future of
You
where
can
they're
turn them
going.
into Adidas if you want.
Yeah, no, that would be a funny hack though, right? If you're a hacker.
Yeah.
wow.
Joke's on you.
That looks really cool. That looks really cool. Anyway, you guys know I've been listening to that book, the one by Dr. John Gottman, the Rules to Successful Marriage, something like that, 7 Rules
Right.
to Successful Marriage. There was a really good topic he brought up on in that book that I thought would be good to talk to you guys about. He talked about one of the biggest problems in relationships is determining whether or not you have a problem that's solvable or you have a perpetual problem. So like if you and your spouse are arguing over something, is this something that's a solvable problem or is it rooted in something much deeper?
Like if you have a difference in values. Right?
Yeah, like or like hey, you don't help me, you don't help me clean around the house enough. Can you help me out a little bit? Is that rooted in me feeling like you don't respect me, you don't value me, or is it just, hey, let's clean up the house and then you help out a little bit? And so in the book, what he says is with perpetual problems, the key to success is acceptance. Is to just either you got to find a way to be okay with these perpetual problems because they're never going to go away. And one of the hallmarks of a perpetual problem is this an argument that you have. Is it an ongoing? All couples have them, right? The same argument that we argue about all the time. Yeah. And it's like at some point you got to just kind of accept it.
Are you gonna always let it bother you?
Yes. Yeah. You guys ever hang around old couples that have been together for a long time and notice how they do that? They have perpetual problems. It's like, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I'm an old couple, but I mean, Katrina and I have been together long enough now, 10 years, where there's just certain attributes about the other person that you just accept. That it's like, it's not your favorite trait, but it's like, whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's like for everything else, I'm
gonna get scolded for this.
Yeah, you make it
doing it anyway.
Katrina, because she's she has a lot of tomboy attributes, which I love. Like I love that I can watch football with her. I love that she can talk shit. I love all these things. But she's kind of like messy, like a boy sometimes, dude. And that's like and I'm super neat, and I like everything. But it's like, okay, because I have to come behind her sometimes and put her curling iron away. Is that a deal breaker for me? So
you just accepted it.
Yeah, you just accept that that's part, or I fucking hire a maid. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, okay, well, I'll just budget out for that I'm going to have somebody come behind us all the time and clean because she's not that way. Because I've been on the other side of the fence in a relationship where, I have a girlfriend that's super clean and needy, and she's on me about even being neater, and it's like, it's not that big of a deal. You know what I'm saying? If she's fallen short on the other areas, so yeah, there's certain things like that. I think that's what makes a healthy relationship, and I think that's also why two people should date for an extended period of time before you decide you're going to marry someone, because some of these types of things don't really start to surface until you've been together for a while.
There's always flaws.
There's a long stage in a relationship where you're pushing and fighting each other over these perpetual issues, where it's like a power struggle. And the other end of it, which is if you succeed, is you're okay with them. You just accept them. Like I'm forgetful. I'm forgetful as hell. I'm very disorganized.
Right.
And it's just I work on it. And I've had this conversation many times with Jessica, and I'm like, I'm always going to work on it, but this is what who you know now is me already worked on it for the last 20 years. I don't know how much better it's going to get.
Right.
So and she's accepted a lot of it, you know what I mean? But it can be annoying as hell.
Well, I think what makes a really good partnership too is like when you see those traits and you accept, not only do you accept it, but you recognize that maybe that's a strength that you have, and then that other partner can also relieve themselves. So that, like to your point, I'm the same way, Sal.
But they're organized, right?
Right,
Like,
and she's really organized, and and I know that could probably annoy other people, but instead, like she kind of steps up to the plate and kind of keeps the household organized and me on top of things and schedules and stuff like that. And I totally let go of it and be like, you own that, and I'm okay with being told like, hey, you got to be here tomorrow. Next Friday you can't do that. We've got this going on, because I know that. Listen, I'm not going to fight you on those things because I let you own that area. So a really good partnership, I feel like, you recognize those faults, and maybe it's because you have a strength there, and then the partner kind of.
It's crazy, right? Because it's like we try so hard to change the other person when in reality the answer sometimes, not always, but sometimes is to change yourself. Not change them, but change how you perceive it and how you can accept it. Anyway. Great book. I'm still.
What book? What book is it?
It's the one by Dr. John Gottman.
No, I know on the show.
Yeah,
man.
I know that's.
Oh God, if we could, I've been working on trying to, but I don't think he does any. It's called The 7 Principles for Making Marriage Work, and it's based off of decades of research that has been duplicated. So behavioral studies, it's very hard to duplicate studies. They have a low rate of being able to do that, but his studies have been duplicated several times. And through his research, they're able to predict whether or not a couple will be together or not with something like 90% accuracy by just listening to a 5-minute conversation.
Now, are you reading this, or is Jessica reading this? You reading this together, or is she telling you about it?
No, she read it.
Okay.
I'm in the middle of still going through it.
Yeah.
And it was that video. Remember that video I sent you guys?
Yeah.
I don't know if you watched it, but I know you did.
Yeah, Courtney and I watched it together. It was great.
And it was just brilliant because some of the stuff that they say in there is counter to what you think, what you've heard in the past. Like, no, you're supposed to compromise. Everybody's supposed to do. And he's saying, look, for some issues, that's not going to happen. Yeah. For some issues, you just accept it.
Or that, or you weren't meant to be.
Or that, right? If you can't accept it, then you're not meant to be.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
all right, first question is from CMoss23. Do you travel with supplements, or do you just take the time off?
That's a great question.
It depends on which ones we're talking about.
You know what? I actually take more supplements when I travel than when I don't.
You do. This guy
your travel pack.
He breaks out one of those 10-gallon or 5-gallon Ziploc bags, and he's got like all this. I'm waiting for the time that we get stopped.
These are walking pharmacies.
Stopped at the airport. No, I do too, because you actually we can count on you probably to have everything. Personally, I would say the one that I most, because things like creatine and performance stuff.
Sure. No need to take
it. I don't even worry about bullshit like that. But I'd say there's 2 probably. My vitamin D, and then probably our Organifi green juice.
Yeah.
Mainly because I know I need to be pretty consistent with my vitamin D. That's already tough for me as it is, so that's a consistent one that I bring. And then the green juice, because it's very, very rare that when I'm traveling, I have a hard time at home getting enough of my greens in on a regular basis. When I'm traveling, it's almost guaranteed I'm not going to.
Yeah, exactly. I'll do greens. I'll also do like elderberry or something to help boost the immune system. Like that's something I'm always conscious of, like just traveling and being in the same fart box as everybody else and like breathing all that same air and everybody's like bacteria they're just slinging out there in the.
So I've got one for you then, if that's what you do. A little hack, since we fly so much. I now take the green juice and then the immunity from them, and I mix them, and I freaking before I get on the plane.
How's that taste?
That's just it's not bad at all.
I mean the green's great. The is a little, anyways.
No, it works. It's fine. I mean, it's not like fucking your favorite pink lemonade or some shit, but
we've done a lot worse.
No, because when I travel, the 2 things that I consider are sleep, because sleep is always off when you travel. It's harder to go to bed. We tend to go to bed later. Usually, if we're traveling, there's a lot of excitement going on, especially if it's for work. So I know by the time I lay down, it's going to be hard to get my mind to kind of wind down. And then the other one is vegetables, like you said, Adam. Really, really hard to get good quality vegetables when you eat out. And if you do get vegetables, either fried or covered in not even real butter, it's usually some kind of whatever oil. So
and you get a small amount too. So.
And you get a small amount. Yeah. And for me, I need to have a certain amount of greens for digestion and just to feel good or whatever.
Yeah.
So I do the green juice very regularly when we travel.
Yeah.
And then I do the gold juice at night for the sleep, to help with the sleep.
Oh, there you go.
Or I'll also take melatonin. Melatonin I don't like to use on a regular basis, but occasionally I'll use it when I'm traveling. and then I'll use it when I get back. Melatonin's a great way to get your circadian rhythm back in check.
Yeah.
So you take like a decent, like a 1 milligram, I should say, dose right before you go to bed, or an hour before you go to bed.
I'll do the CBD pen. That's what I like.
Oh,
that's why it helps me sleep, actually.
But yeah, if you're traveling for less than a week or a week, I mean, you don't really need to take much.
Well, here's the thing.
you.
We've talked about this before ad nauseum. Supplements are such a small piece of the pie in the first place. It doesn't fucking make that big of a difference. So to travel with, to me, performance supplements is kind of silly to me to travel with. It's just like whatever. Mm-hmm. But I think I see some value to somebody who knows they have a deficiency somewhere. Like, for example, my vitamin D. It's like something I need on a daily basis. So I don't know. I feel like that makes sense to take something like that,
dude.
And I think that if you know how better your digestion is and how you feel when you're regular with your vegetables and greens, and if you know you're probably not, I see value in that. But creatine, branched chain amino acid, fucking protein shake stuff. It's like
when you're traveling, you're trying to maintain more than anything else. You're not trying to progress forward.
You should have seen how I used to travel. Oh my gosh.
Oh, I was bad.
With your 6-pack bag. And
I would have all my protein powder servings. I'd have pre-workout servings. I've had amino acids. So and because the containers of those things are so big, I couldn't bring them in the containers. So it was basically just bags of powder, and many of them are white,
I just picture you putting all the powder in your mouth and then trying to put water in after.
And I'd write on the bag like BCAA, you know what I mean?
Well, I mean, I guess it really depends where you are too. Like I think for all of us where we're at in our life and fitness goals and stuff like that, it's not that big of a deal, right? Like, even if we went on vacation and I didn't train once, and it's not because I couldn't. I mean, I totally could have made the time and effort. Dude, I didn't give a shit. I was with family and friends. Like, that never happens. Like, I can't think of any other time in my life where we've had 22 people that were all very close friends or family of mine, all in one house together for a week. And like I sucked up every bit of that time and enjoyed every bit of it. And honestly, like, going to the gym for an hour, totally doable and could have been done. But you know what? I valued more that 1 hour that could have taken to go to the gym of more time with those family members
you're
to
right.
me. And
you're right.
You know what I'm saying? And absolutely today, what I look like, I'm fallen way off in my eyes of what I look like and feel like when I'm in really shape. But I'm not healthy anymore. I'm a little softer than what I was 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, but it ain't nothing that I can't get right back to within about a week or two of like dialed in.
No, that's a good point. And I think it's important that you look at what the real value is of a vacation. Is the value of a vacation to, go after my fitness goals? Maybe.
If I was competing,
maybe
totally different.
I know some people who love to exercise when they travel because it's when they have the time to exercise as much as they want. But if you're like, for me, when I go on vacation, the value is the people around me, enjoying the environment, what I'm doing. Now, if I travel with Jessica, we both like working out. Oftentimes what we'll do when we travel is a couple days, we'll wake up early to go work out, but that's part of the vacation fun for us. But yeah, I agree with you. I think if you're on a trip, because I've had clients tell me, like, what do I eat? What do I do? And I go, just don't go crazy, but
don't be an asshole.
Yeah, just go enjoy yourself. I mean, that's what it's all about.
100%.
Next question is from Shane O'Mac, 716. What are your thoughts on the ketogenic diet in regards to building muscle?
So ketogenic diet has certain benefits for some people. One of them is not packing on muscle. It's actually a difficult. Can you build muscle on a ketogenic diet? You can. I've done it. Way harder to do though. Carbohydrates make building muscle a lot easier. You're stronger. You get better pumps. And I just don't build as much muscle on ketogenic. It's hard to eat enough calories to gain muscle.
That's the thing. I think this answer to this really depends on the person, right? Like, Katrina puts on muscle pretty well. Harder for her to lose body fat. She does phenomenal on the ketogenic diet. She does great. She packs muscle on. She leans out at the same time. She loves it. For me, it's the opposite. But I'm also I fall in the camp of people that struggled to build muscle most of my life. That struggled to get enough calories, and eating a diet that's high in fat and moderate protein, which are both very satiating. it was really tough. And I tried this when a couple years back, depending on how far back you've listened to the show, we talked all about the ketogenic diet right when it was first starting to get popular, and we all decided to do it. And I thought it was a really good experiment, especially for someone like me who was at the time eating 400 to 600 grams of carbs every day, because it would be such a shift for me. And I saw lots of great benefits that I noticed. But one of the things that I struggled with was to try and put size on, to put mass on. And it was mainly because I just had a really hard time eating at that. And at that time, my calorie maintenance was around 4,500 calories. That's a lot of calories to get through, eating healthy fats all day.
It's a lot of fat.
Yeah.
You were eating 300 grams or something like that.
And that's what I found myself doing. I was like, this can't be ideal. It can't be ideal for me to be eating all of this butter and macadamia nuts and, just to try and hit this calorie intake.
Yeah.
It was silly.
Honestly, I started out trying to go through ketogenic, and to be completely transparent, honest, I found the carnivore diet even easier than that. Because it's very straightforward. It's like meat that, because then I'm not so concerned about I'm going over my protein amount. I'm going under, over my carbohydrate amount. There's this seeking out fat is very challenging in terms of the selection that's out there and is provided. But if you pull it off, it's great. There's obviously other benefits to it that I think people probably want to focus on a little bit more in terms of the neuroprotective part of it, the lower inflammation, things like that.
Yeah, that's why I'll do keto sometimes. If I go ketogenic, it's not to improve my performance or build muscle. It's to reduce inflammation and feel mentally sharper. That's what ends up happening. So ketogenic diet's characterized by very, very, very low carbohydrates, high fat intake, moderate protein intake. And because you don't have carbohydrates in your diet, your body produces what are called ketones from fat, either the fat that you consume or from fat from your body, depending on if you're a deficit or not in terms of calories. And those ketones are used for energy. And when the body uses ketones, you feel, some people or most people tend to feel sharper, and they tend to have more level amounts of energy. And there's also an anti-inflammatory effect. Now, as far as muscle building is concerned, it's very tough. I've done this. I've had clients do this, and it's just hard. You just build more muscle with carbohydrates. You're stronger with carbohydrates. This is actually a fact. Now, unless carbohydrates bother you and don't react to you, there's always individuals that don't fall within this. But generally speaking, carbs also make you stronger. So for bulking or building muscle, unless the ketogenic diet, here's how the ketogenic diet could help you build muscle. If it's the healthiest diet for you. So if carbohydrates don't work well with your body for whatever reason, if you get really inflamed and your digestion is off and just doesn't work, then you'll probably build more muscle on a ketogenic diet. But if you're okay either way, keto is not the best for muscle building.
Next question is from Trey Bell Official. What should you do if you are plateauing in a specific body part?
So without being able to look at your workout and specifically see what you're doing, I'll give a general kind of answer. Generally speaking, the thing that you would do if a body part is not responding is to train that body part a little bit more, with a little bit more volume, a little bit more frequency, and prioritize it in your workouts. Okay, so let's talk about those three first. More volume. You're going to do more sets of exercises for that body part than you will for your other body parts. And by the way, don't bump the whole body up with extra volume. It might be too much for your body to handle. And again, we're trying to get a lagging body part to catch up. The second one is frequency. If you're training that body part twice a week, try training it 3 days a week. That's an easy way to add the volume too. So you got an extra day now of exercises and stuff like that. And then prioritizing it, train it first in the workout. Yeah. That's a big one. If it's your biceps, I almost never recommend people hit their biceps before they hit their back. But if you've got great back development and your biceps are weak, hit the biceps
Don't
first.
You think, too, there could be a neurotic component to this? Like somebody that's like, oh, my God, I got to grow my biceps. And then they're always doing the same machines and they're always doing the same, isolating type exercises and not ever considering that just doing pull-ups, would have a better effect to them as well.
Well, shameless plug, but this is why we created MAPS Black. MAPS Aesthetic is designed this way. It's designed for somebody to follow the program, to choose 1 or 2 lagging body parts, or stubborn, whatever you want to look at it, or plateaued in, and it's programmed for you on how we would attack it. Now, with my experience in what happens to most people, including myself, with things like this, is you have a stubborn body part. Let's talk about my calves being one of those areas. And it really just, to Sal's point, it wasn't a priority. It's like very few people train their 3 to 4 days a week, every single week, consistently, never miss a day, go for months straight in a row. And what ends up happening is life happens, you get sick, you skip a few days, you go back to the gym. What I would do in my early 20s is when I come back, I always started with my favorite muscle group.
Yeah.
Where as I got older and I cared more about trying to balance my physique out and symmetry, I would always start back. So let's say you do like a body part split where it's, legs one day, chest, then back, then arms and shoulders or whatever. And you hit, day 1, day 2, day 3, and let's say day 1 is legs, and let's say that's your lagging body part. You hit legs on Monday, then you go to Tuesday, you hit Wednesday, and then you have a 2-day break. You fall off, you got to get consistent, you couldn't make it to the gym. And then most people pick up where they left off in their routine. I would never do that again. I would reset back to legs again. If I ever took even a short break, I'd always start back over at the muscle group that I'm reprioritizing. So that way, the total volume in a month, I'm always getting it what I at least bare minimum need, or scaling up for the body part that I'm trying to prioritize. I think that really helps.
Yeah, and you know what? If people are really honest with themselves, oftentimes that lagging, weaker body part is one that historically you just didn't train as much as the rest of your body. Maybe now you're worried about the fact that your back doesn't match your chest. But for the first 3-4 years of your training, you bench pressed all the time. You almost never did any back exercises.
Right.
So you have to be very honest with yourself. Oftentimes, in my experience, a weaker body part is just due to that. It's due to the fact that, you actually never really trained this body part like you did some of your favorite body parts. I wanted to ask you, Adam, because I know that when you were competing, you went through a series of body parts for you, right? What were they?
The very first one was my shoulders when I was doing a show. The second one was my back. Then my third one was calves. So that was kind of the order during that window of competing, where after each show, I would assess my physique and I'd look at the body part that either 1, the judges said something to me, or 2, that I thought needed to come up more, and then I would program it that way, which is what inspired the program that we wrote. It's literally how I did it.
But starting your whole workout with your weak body part, I bet you most people with a weak body part don't do that.
Oh yeah, no. Yeah. How many people
it gets to respond
when calves became that for me, right? And it was a total shift for me. Never did I ever go to the gym and calves was the first thing that I did. I go over and do the 2-3 exercises for that, and then go to the rest of and I just was consistent about it. And it's hard to be consistent with that when life happens, when you have not enough time that day or you miss a day. But when it's a lagging body part and you're really trying to bring it so I still do this now today with like my legs, because my legs are behind on the rest of my body part. And so if we just had a break where we were off, I was off for over 2 weeks, I don't even remember what I left off on, but it doesn't matter. I'm starting with legs. Yeah. It's and bare minimum, even if I don't do anything else. And what might happen, like this week, I got into the gym, I lifted one day so far. I plan to lift today. I'll do legs again today. Mm-hmm. So I'll definitely make sure I'm not missing the area that needs the most development when I'm coming to the gym, even inconsistently. And that's you just got to focus that way.
Yeah, I think too, I definitely agree with you guys both in terms of lagging body parts, but in terms of reading this, it's just like a plateau that they're reaching within a specific body part they've been trying to address. I think, just a change of stimulus, a lot of times, which we harp on all the time. That's something that we're just trying to make sure we stay ahead of that by, creating that in the programming of it. So the programming in itself is very crucial to then, being able to bust through a lot of these like pitfalls that you get into.
You're totally right. I know the angle. So the angle you're going is maybe you plateaued in this body part because you've been doing the same reps, same set, or the same exercises.
You just focus on volume or whatever, but it's the same stimulus.
No, that's an excellent point. And it is, sometimes I think we just assume that everybody who's listening is also following all the MAPS programs, which isn't true.
Yeah.
A lot of people are doing their own thing and they're just taking our advice. The reality of that's what makes the programming so special is you've got the three of us that with all the years of experience,
we're trying to think ahead for you,
that have sat down and programmed it so these type of issues don't happen to you. And in a perfect world, you're moving from one MAPS program to another MAPS program, and you're kind of transitioning in and out all the time. And if we've done a good job of creating those programs, you really shouldn't hit hard plateaus in certain muscle groups. The other thing that we didn't say or address that could also be a possibility, and the most common one that comes to mind when I think of this is like your butt, is just a poor neurological connection to it. So sometimes you could be doing and I would see this a lot, with female clients of mine that are trying to develop their butt, and they're doing lots of volume and lots of butt exercises, but because they don't have a good connection there, what ends up happening is the legs just keep developing and they're not getting a lot of development in their butt, which is their goal. So this also could be an area, because I don't know what body part we're talking about right now. It's less likely if it's biceps, right, that you have a poor connection to your biceps. Most people,
but if it's like lats or chest,
if it's
butt.
lats, if it's calves, if it's butt, these are areas that it is kind of common that some people have a poor connection there, and that could also be an area that needs to be addressed. And that's heading into the MAPS Prime type of area where you're focusing on that type of stuff.
Next question is from Caffeine and Counseling. Do you recommend taking body measurements, or is this a waste of time?
I actually like body measurements more than the scale. And the reason why I like body measurements more than the scale is because, oftentimes you get a client that you'd be training them for a little while and the scale wouldn't move that much, maybe a couple pounds. And they're like, wow, everybody keeps telling me I lost a lot of weight. Like, how is this possible? The scale only says 2 pounds. I feel like I'm a lot leaner. Like, what's happening? I measure them and I'll show them.
Right.
Well, you lost 2 inches here. You lost
your waist.
3 inches there. Muscle is dense and fat is less dense. And so a pound of muscle takes up less space than a pound of body fat. And measurements will show you what's going on when the scale may show you nothing's going on.
Yeah, it's both sides of that, right? I have a muscle gain goal. Like, it's going to show like the muscles, if they're actually growing, like that's a tangible thing that you can kind of lean on, or whether or not like you're addressing your body fat issues like in certain areas of your body.
It's just another piece of feedback, right?
It's a metric.
It's just, it's another. Personally, maybe when I was really, really early years, I started to. The thing that made me stop, I guess, I remember it was a thing that happened to me. I remember the first time I got really lean and everybody thought I was bigger. And I was like, well, what the fuck?
We'll throw that out.
Yeah. Like here I was measuring my biceps every week.
And they shrank an inch.
Yeah, they all shrank an inch, and everybody thought I was more jacked. And I was just like, well, what the fuck? So why am I why do I care if my biceps go up 1 more inch if I create the illusion? So I don't know. I'm the big tracker guy. Like I'm all about tracking everything, and I think the more metrics you have, the better insight you have on your body. And I see lots of value to all metrics, especially early on.
That's how I honestly, every client that I had like going forward, at one point, I'm like, I just want to aggregate as much information as possible, so it's reference, points of reference, and it doesn't need to be brought up constantly. Does it need to be a neurotic thing that I'm always like trying to hammer and address? It's just something that like, oh, well, let's go back and let's refer. Let's see where we've come. If this is a question or something that's popping up, I do have, sufficient data to then pull from.
Well, as far as like singular pieces of information that can predict, your health or predict, health problems. By the way, no single piece of information is perfect. You want to look at a lot of different pieces of information to get a good picture. But if you had to pick one of the better ones is actually waist measurement, just measuring your waist. They find that your health is at risk in men if your waist measures over 37 inches, and for women, about 31.5 inches or more.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, they found that's pretty strong correlation. I know Doug. When I train Doug, and Doug, do you still do that every morning? Where you weigh?
I do. I don't like what I see right now.
Thanks for bringing it up.
I guarantee it's significantly lower than 37, though.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But that's what I did. I measured it every day for a year and a half.
Did you really?
Yeah.
It's a very simple way to measure, because here's the thing. Like, let's say you're a man, you're lifting weights. You're gaining weight on the scale, but you're getting leaner, your waist measurement goes down, even though you're building more muscle. I mean, obviously in bodybuilding, one of the key things that they look for is a small waist, with everything else. So so measurements are actually a decent way to measure your progress, but by themselves, they're not going to tell you, everything, obviously.
I think all these things are great. There's a lot of people that crack on the tracking, and I know right now I got a question the other day on my Q&A about what I think about is counting calories that bad? It's what Instagram is saying right now. Everybody is now jumping on the bandwagon of tracking food is bad or whatever. And it's like everything can become addictive. Everything can become something that you become obsessed with, and it could have negative impacts on you for sure. But I think if your approach to it is you're using all this information just to help gain more insight on your own body and how it responds to things, and I think it's all good. And I think it's good for people to do it at the beginning of really learning. But there comes a time where hopefully you figure this stuff out. You understand what a protein is, a carb is, fats, how much your body needs, what happens when you do good on it, what happens when you don't do good on it. You've tracked your body fat percentage enough times to realize that, oh my God, my weight could be at the same weight, this is why I love this. Like, I've been 220 pounds and had like 5 dramatically different looks and levels of health. Like so weight doesn't matter that much. And that's why I think it's important though to track those things, because I wouldn't have known that had I not tracked.
Sure. And
it really kind of gives you more insight on, oh wow, that it doesn't just matter my body fat percent, or it doesn't matter just my weight, or it doesn't just matter my waist or what it measures. You start to put all that stuff together to have a better understanding.
And then eventually you become in tune and you feel.
Yes.
You could totally feel.
Yes.
So this is cool. Check this out. So according to the World Health Organization, your risk of metabolic complications such as type 2 diabetes increases when a man has a waist to hip ratio result of more than 0.9 and a woman has a result of more than 0.85.
Explain that.
Waist to hip ratio.
No, I get that, but what do they show?
They divide the two.
Okay.
Yeah. So for a man, if it's more than 0.9, your risk of metabolic complications start to rise. Obviously, the bigger, the higher over that ratio, the worse. And for women, it's 0.85. And then a 2011 review of studies showed that waist circumference and waist to hip ratio had a more direct link to health conditions than BMI. So that's why I like, if you had to compare the two measurements, body measurements are better than the scale. So if
anything's better than BMI.
It's almost. It's so stupid, right?
I'm surprised that we even still have those in offices, and
for actually obese people, it makes sense.
They just needed something simple.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, boom, here's your BMI. It's an easy measurement.
You're just heavy.
Well, I don't have to do anything
And when
else.
it was created, I would assume that the population that was truly lifting weights and exercising was probably really, really small.
It still is.
Yeah.
Right.
It still is.
Right. It is.
To be lean and have a high BMI is still pretty rare, to the point where if you get life insurance, you have to tell them. You call them when they say your height and weight. You say, oh, but I'm athletic.
But I have muscle.
Well, I remember that's why one of the reasons why we liked. Remember when we used to work with Health IQ? That was one of the great things. They were like one of the few insurance companies that like take that into consideration. That nobody's really looking after these people that actually work out.
Totally. And with that, go to mindpumpfree.com and download all of our guides and resources. They're all absolutely free. You can also find the three of us on Instagram. You can find Justin at MindPumpJustin. You can find me at MindPumpSal and Adam at MindPumpAdam.